And good evening, and thank you for choosing Graps TV and the Sicko Show. I'm your host, the Matty Man. Woo! Yeah, I saw that opening myself, and apparently the opening got all goofed up. That's okay. We've been away for a little while, and hey, we got 3 viewers already, so let's go ahead and kick it off. Welcome. And the opening part of this show is probably not going to be for the faint at heart, but probably everybody should kind of listen. And I thought about this and I thought about it, and I was going to do some kind of silly ass dramatic thing to make fun of JD Squarehead from the toilet bowl. And after further consideration, I thought, well, you know what? The guy's already getting packed up, so I'm not really worried about it. But he's not getting packed up fast enough. Guys, JD blocked me because I kept pointing out day in and day out, night in and night out. For those of y'all who don't know, went on kind of a little bit of a racist tirade while he was gaming. Somebody actually caught it on video, shared it with everybody. It's been blowing all over Twitter and a little bit on Facebook and so on and so forth. But, you know, that's him. And that's his broadcast partner. So, you know what? I'm not even talking to you anymore, JD, because I know that some of y'all ninja watch a little bit. You watch the replays. You want to hear what I got to say? Here's what I got to say. I'm not, JD, I don't care about you anymore. You're a worthless piece of trash, and that's pretty much, that's it. But your broadcast partner, I don't even know his name or whatever, but if you have any self-respect, sir, if you have any self-respect at all, you need to quit showing up for these things, man. Because all you're doing is co-signing that stuff. That's pretty much, that's about all of the energy that I can give to this anymore. I gave a lot of energy to it last week, pushed really hard. We got a little bit of a group of people that are still slamming him. I just don't think he can block everybody and their burner accounts and all that other stuff. But anyway, it's Saturday night. We need some positive energy around here, and that's what we're going to be bringing tonight. Hey, we got 4 viewers. Hey, maybe we'll get over 25 tonight, too. Who knows? The night is young. Also, in my opening monologue here, I've heard probably every single person on the planet that's going to have a meltdown about this television deal. It keeps coming back to the same thing over and over and over again. AEW is just not worth that amount of money. I think Ross and his partner had that to say on a stream not too long ago. I think it was about Wednesday or so. They signed in and chimed in, so to speak, about the television deal. If you haven't heard anything about it yet, if you're living under a rock, basically, because I think everybody at this point in time is saturated on the details of the television deal. But just in case you didn't know, it is 4 years, 3 years guaranteed. At least 170 million per year minimum. And the pay-per-views are moving over to Max. Although there will be other outlets, I don't think that Triller is out of the gate now. I don't know if Bleacher Report's going to be part of it when they decide who's going to be carrying their pay-per-views at this point. But I definitely know Triller is involved. I still have conversations with them. Love you guys. By the way, Triller, great channel. If you have not as of yet spent the money for it, you are leaving money on the table. You get all access to GCW, AEW pay-per-views. There's probably like 100 promotions on there. It's good television. I like it. I've had it. I bought the whole yearly subscription. And I highly recommend everybody else do it too, because it gives you sort of an archive, if you will. So you can catch up on the past, you can do the presents, and you can catch up on the past at your convenience. And when you're having a slow day and there's nothing on television, you're like, you know what? I really want to watch some wrestling. Triller is the way to go. It has been for a long time. I got hooked on it probably right before Double or Nothing, I think it was. And it was reasonably priced. I think a year subscription was like 70 some dollars. That's like 1 month's worth of cable. To have 12 months of unlimited wrestling for multiple promotions to me is a steal. But as far as I know, the pay per views are still going to be available on Triller for those people who don't want to buy Max. Why you wouldn't, I don't know why. I don't know what the pricing structure is going to be. Basically, all we know so far is 170, 3 years guaranteed, 1 year option. 170 is the lowball price. We also don't have anything yet for Shockwave. As far as we think we know, it's going to be on FS1. We don't know, but we think that it's going to be a 1 hour show because Rampage is going away. We're thinking it's being replaced by Shockwave. We're thinking it's going to be an hour, but we don't know yet. It could be 2 hours. For that much, it could be 3 hours. Because I don't think Fox has a problem with the deal they're doing with AEW. They're getting a lot of return on it already. And we don't even have a confirmation that the deal is indeed signed. So for right now, I'm leaving that one as speculation. I'm not even touching it. The only thing we know for certain is that there is a deal in place with Warner Brothers Discovery and that AEW is finally going to be profitable. Thought I had to sneeze there for a second. Apologize. Hey, we're up to 6. Appreciate y'all. The other part I wanted to open with today is the other chatter that I've been hearing about quality of work and so on and so forth between the two organizations. And I foolishly made a couple of comments that are actually correct, but if you say them in an echo chamber, it's going to get you hurt. At least it'll get you frustrated. I won't say it'll get you physically hurt, but mentally it can be a little bit on the bruising side. So I just wanted to take a minute because at this stage of the game, I'm starting to take up with a mantra, if you will, that I am no longer going to engage in that manner with anybody over. If you've got a problem with something I say, you can come on the show. Hell, for that much, I'll put another screen up and you and I can go face to face. But I'm going to break this discussion down here in I'm going to do it in less than 4 minutes. So if you'll bear with me just a little bit, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, but I'm going to have this discussion because this is a discussion that's needed to be had for quite some time. My regular viewers kind of know that this is going to turn into a slight rant. The only difference is I'm not going to be yelling or anything like that. Like JD from Trash Bowl City with his racist rants playing Mario Kart. Oh my God. Of all the things to have a bust out moment over, Mario Kart is not even in my top 50. Okay, I'm just going to lay that out there. But, all right, that is definitely all the energy I'm giving this joker anymore for the rest of my life. If you guys still want to sit there and listen to him, says more about, your values than mine. So, JD, I know you're ninja watching this thing. Your fans are just as racist as you. Okay, that's basic. I'm gonna use small terms so you can easily figure it out. But above and beyond that, loser, been hearing a lot in response to the television deal about quality of match, storylines, and everything else. And I made the mistake of saying, hey, they're doing this, that, and the other. And people are like, oh, there's no story. Okay, let me break this down for you right now. Just to give you an idea, Mercedes has about 3 different storylines going at one time. She got a little bit of heat with Mariah that's, it's inferred but not physically there. Obviously, she's got heat with Shit Baker. I didn't stutter. And she's got heat with Hirokata Shida. Shida. I'm just going to say Shida. I'm not going to try the first name tonight because it's been a long week. Been on the road all week, by the way, which is why I haven't been live and so on and so forth. But they had a match last night. Hikaru Shida had a match with Harley Cameron. 3 things minimum were accomplished in that match. Number 1, Hikaru Shida had what we call character development. She didn't finish with her normal finishing move. Changed finishing moves at the end of the match. Number 2, Saraya and Jamie Hayter have heat. That got going. And in the middle of all this, Harley Cameron. Shout out to the 11 that are in here now. Thank you. Harley Cameron has wrestled roughly about 8 matches in the last few weeks. And every single one of those matches, she's getting better. And here's why she will be okay. I'm going to break this part down first. Because this is the part that actually pays the bills. Harley Cameron has been wrestling Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, Nyla Rose, which she did get a win. Shit happens. Nyla had to eat a pin. And several other top-tier wrestlers within a crowd. Now, whether that crowd be 3,000, 5,000, and in some cases, she was in front of the all-in crowd and kind of around the all-out crowd. The whole point of that is she's going through development right now, right before your very eyes. She's developing in the ring with the crowd that they are going to see. Why is this a big deal? One of the problems that WWE has with their NXT call-ups is the actual NXT system itself, which is partially why I think they're going out on the road with it. But the main part of it is really they're just trying to throw shade on AEW. But let's get real about that. That's just reality. That's the tactic. It's something I grew up with. And I don't hate on it. Because everybody's got to do what everybody's got to do in business. I get it. It's business. I'll go along with it. But the fact of the matter is that they perform normally in front of about 100 to 100.5 people. And their minimum gates out there are 5,000 to 8,000. They do have small gates, by the way. Don't go, oh no, it's 11,000, 12,000. No. Their minimum gate size is 5,000 to 7,000 people. Their sample set for NXT is roughly 100 to 100.5 people, handpicked. So obviously they're going to go in there and they're going to cheer their ass off for anything that walks, talks, and crawls because they were allowed in the show. Now, that's bad for the performers. Wow, shout out to 16. We're doing great. Thank you. It's bad for the performers because the 100 to 100.5 are not a good sample size of what they're going to see when they go up, when they get the call up to the main roster, which is why you have so much headbutting going on there, and that's why a lot of them fall through the cracks. Now, in comparison, for this situation, Harley Cameron herself is actually going through an NXT style training, the concept, not the actual moves, but the concept. But she's going through it live in front of a normal audience that every one of them sees. Now, granted, it could be 1,700, could be 5,000. but it's the regular AEW audience. So not only is she getting classic training, and that's one thing I will give Britt Baker. I know I said something ugly earlier, but when I'm giving her respect, I give her respect because she does know the business. Everybody that Harley Cameron has wrestled so far, very experienced. So she's getting her training live and in front of a crowd. The crowd. The crowd that all of them are going to wrestle in front of. Therefore, when they decide that she is ready to go on a singles push, all they have to do is flip a switch. She's already familiar to the crowd, and if you don't know who she is, man, you are living under a rock. But she's already familiar to the crowd. She's already familiar with the crowd, and she got familiar with a whole bunch of veterans. So you put all that together, that's why their wrestlers will tend to make it on the big stage, because they're growing up on the big stage. Now, I understand that's not always possible for a WWE product to do, and I get it. I get it. They're doing the best they can with their circumstances. Once again, no hate, just bringing out the facts. But what happened in that match last night is that one single match. See, this is the thing that irritates me when we talk about storylines. That one single match had 3 storylines going in it at one time, plus they were training somebody. All in that one match. And I made the mistake of saying, even though it's factual, WWE has a hard time doing 2 consecutive storylines, one on each show, without them tripping all over each other. So, as far as the storyline crap goes, I'm done with it. And as AEW fans, we should all be done with it. Don't engage. Don't pet the trolls anymore. Don't engage. Let them burn themselves out, then hit them with facts. And whether they like it or don't like it, drones are going to drone. And if you don't like being called a drone, don't drone. It's real simple. Hey, Rebecca, how you doing? Other than that, though, we've had some really good work this week. I'm glad I didn't cover Dynamite. I'm sorry Covalent TV is going to be covering Dynamite, because they're probably going to open up with that Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy match, and it is going to be, well, at least Tony's getting it right from that standpoint. He's putting them together, getting all of it in one spot. He knows those are problems. A lot of people have said, hey, we're not really into this. Shout out to 17, by the way. Wow, this is great. Thank you. If I don't spend enough time saying thank you, let me tell you right now, thank you. Because without you, I'd have no business being here anyway. I'd just be talking in an echo chamber. You are very much appreciated. Keep coming back. I'm always going to be here Saturday nights. I'll have pop-up streams during the week when I'm home. And I'll let you know. And I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. But I don't know that I'm really ready to put down the war. I mean, I'm still fine with fighting it. It's just getting stupid. So my new rule is I will drop a comment. I might respond to a comment, and that's the end of it. Anything else, you can come on here and talk to me about it. We can talk. Because I get all this crap. When you lay facts on somebody, they come up with 10,000 reasons to undermine it. Fact of the matter is, I'm going to go through Rampage here in just a few minutes, but Mark Briscoe and Brian Keith, they have a story. Wheeler Yuta has a story. Hikaru Shida has a story. Jamie Hayter, story. Saraya, story. The only thing that really didn't tell a story last night was Roddy and the Beast Mortos. And that was just a filler match. But even Nick Wayne, Kip Sabian have history. Leo Rush is, no pun intending, rushing his way through here and setting the pace. And I think it would behoove Tony greatly to create a junior heavyweight division. Shout out to 18. I saw y'all sneak in there. Thank you. I think Tony would be, it would behoove Tony greatly to come up with a junior heavyweight division and let Leo Rush lead it. That man can move in 800 different directions simultaneously. He's interesting to watch. He's always entertaining. But the fact of the matter is, there are multiple storylines going on in every single show. The problem is they don't amplify the storyline enough. So yeah, that could be a problem. You could lose the casual viewer who tunes in for a random show and goes, where are all these matches coming from? And they don't have vignettes, and they don't have video packages, and they don't have an absurd amount of promos. Now they're starting to get a balance. I think we had roughly about an hour 15 as I was counting in my head. I don't have the actual number for tonight, but I think we were pushing close to an hour 10, hour 15 of wrestling and about 45 of commercials, video packages, and promos. Good balance, 50-50. Most of the time is 60-40, wrestling, promo, everything else. Wrestling heavy, promo in the whole 9 yards, else everything else soft. So that notwithstanding, I'm really getting tired of the no storyline, the what is this match for, and basically it's people who know what's going on. They just keep throwing that out there because it's a cheap click. Bottom line. Now, every once in a while, I'll say something about WWE that may look like a clickbait, but it's just what's on my mind at that time. But I don't make a daily habit. I don't even cover WWE, so I don't accidentally step on somebody's toes. Because right now, with the product the way it is, I don't have a lot of good to say about it. It's there. I will say that cinematic video package yesterday was pretty damn good. I watched it. Got no problem with it. I think the promos collapsed in on each other probably about 6 different times. But if the average fan doesn't care, what in the world should I care about? If that's what they want to hear, let them hear it. If they're happy with it, they go home happy. That is honestly 90% of the wrestling business, is to make sure that families go home happy. That they spent their money, that they spent their time with you. And frankly, I don't have a problem with that. If WWE fans want to walk around in circles on some of this stuff, you know, as an analyst, it's hard to watch because I have to analyze it. Now, if I watched it as a fan, I'd probably be all happy with it too. Got no problems with that. But the reality of it is I stay on my side of the fence. You can go through my entire page. You'll find 5 posts that are maybe slightly anti-WWE. Because I like some of the WWE wrestlers. Some of them follow me. Some of them we have conversations. So I'm obviously not going to shit on their product. That's the difference. That's the whole difference right there. Got a couple other things in the back of my mind too that I'll probably save for the next show, because I don't want to hit the viewers with a whole bunch of stuff at one time every single time. I want to give it in little bits and chunks, because I think that's the best way to do it, because that's the way it was done for me. Covalent didn't just walk in, kick my door down, and tell me that I was watching shit. They just pointed out little pieces of it here and there. And I drew to the conclusion of what I was watching and whether or not I wanted to continue watching it. And that's all I'm doing here. I'm not trying to change your mind because most of the people, it's like politics. Most people have already made up their mind who they're going to vote for. That's all the clout I'm ever given to it, but it's good correlation. WWE fans have already made up their mind that that's what they're going to watch. WWE fans have already made up their mind that that is professional wrestling. WWE fans have made up their mind it's cinema. WWE fans have made up their mind Hunter is the best booker that ever lived. Those are indisputable facts to them. Not to me, but I'm wasting air. The world is so polarized, there is no sense, it's really no sense wasting energy on it. So the best thing I can do is just talk about things I like and not allow that stuff to get to me and not allow myself to say something that may hurt somebody's feelings and they go away. Not that that's really a thing for me, but I am cognizant of the fact that some people hate watch. In fact, I know there's one person hate watching right now. How you doing, James? Anyway, I don't need hate watchers, you know. I don't need hate watchers at all. Don't care for them. Not going to engage anyway. Bad faith arguments. I'm not doing it. And you shouldn't either. Life is short. The last thing you want to spend your last minutes on earth doing is arguing with somebody over the internet. It's a waste of time. So I quit. That notwithstanding, though, I will stand up for what I know to be right. And that is most of the not all, most of the negativity. I don't know what it is about doing a stream, but my nose starts itching and I get like an out. Maybe it's got something to do with this. I'll take care of that on the next stream. I don't know. Where was I at? I don't see the point in it. Now, a lot of people go out and throw these stupid bullshit bad faith takes out because they heard somebody else do it or they think it looks cool. It doesn't. You know, if I sat there all day and spoke my mind about WWE, I wouldn't have one single follower. I wouldn't have one single fan. So I stay on my side of the fence and talk about how good the product is that I'm reviewing. Sometimes it's not good. Sometimes it's flat ass bad. Now, recently we haven't had that problem. And we haven't had that problem at least this week here, except that there were some questionable moments here. But I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt because a lot of it we had to put Grand Slam together, basically finish putting Grand Slam together tonight. And so with that said, I expected some stuff to be rushed. I expected some things to fall through the cracks. Because it occurs to everybody that Grand Slam is kind of like a free pay-per-view. But he wants it to have that pay-per-view feel. So Dynamite and Collision next week are just going to be super good. So I'm going to review both of those and Rampage. But I'm not going to review Dynamite and Rampage until Saturday, just like I normally do, unless I feel led to do it on Thursday. So keep your eyes out for Thursday. That's a possibility. If I'm doing it, I will announce it. Wow, we're sitting at 19 viewers. That is so awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Welcome, everybody. You know, pull up a chair, drink your favorite adult beverage or non-adult beverage. That's fine with me. Do what you do like you do it when you do it. Let's just sit back and enjoy the ride. Okay? I did have a red light for tonight, something that just really stopped my brain, but I made the decision that after I went ahead and did my opening part there about JD, and then when I covered the whole thing about the match yesterday, that service is good enough as a red light because every single one of us this week has no doubt heard that. You know. And I actually heard somebody say, oh, no, they're going to be canceled at the end of the first year. I'm like, dumbass, the deal is guaranteed for 3 years. They could literally go out there and shit in the middle of the ring, and they still have a television deal for 3 years. They're not going to get canceled next year. Now, obviously, they can't go out there and have a Coke party, but, I mean, they can basically do whatever they want to do for the next 3 years. It's guaranteed. Now, they may move them around and put them somewhere else or put them in different time slots, but the show is not going away for 3 years, period. That fourth year, now we might have something to discuss. Now, I'm not saying we're going to, because I think the product's going to be absolutely beautiful by that time. By the time Tony's put the money back into the product, by the time we get the pyro, by the time we get, I'm not even going to say that because I don't want to speculate, but by the time we get some more people in, get the stage set, everything else, it's going to be a beautiful product. Shout out to 20. We're gonna have such a good product that we might actually start creating some fans of that product, which is the other thing. Whether you realize it or not, and this is not a slam on WWE, it's like saying if you drive a Ford, here's where the windshield wipers are. Okay? If you drive a Chevrolet, here's where the windshield wipers are. Drive a BMW, this is how you do the windshield. They're all cars. But one thing that WWE does, besides only give you 5 matches for a plea, and that's not a big deal if you're paying $8. I think they're up to $8 now. But the people in the building are paying way more than $8 to see the show. And in fact, at Clash at the Castle, the in-the-door price was $560. Fact check me on it. Nosebleeds, back of the building, hard cam side, $560. To the left of that, $479. 5 matches. That's over $100 a match, by the way. Just figured I'd share that with you. For that amount of money, there needs to be a better product. Just my opinion. There needs to be a better product, and it needs to be more of it. But I digress. Anyway, WWE has its style. AEW has its style. AEW is going to appeal to certain people that WWE does not. WWE is going to appeal to certain people that AEW does not. So I'm staying on my side of the fence with everything, and I'm putting it in the best possible light. That's the best I can do this week. That's all the energy I'm giving that. I do like some of the WWE product. I don't like the format. I don't like the clocks. I don't like that internal clock. I don't like that I have to be at this part of the ring at this point in time. Have to make sure I do my hard cam stat. I don't like any of that. But I do like the wrestlers. There's a lot of wrestlers there I like. I like to watch them work. And occasionally they go off script and they do stuff. And that's what I'm there for. Okay? Bottom line. No hate on WWE. No hate, no hate, no hate. Just a different point of view. But with that said, let's get into Rampage. If you missed Rampage last night, the fastest hour of television, period, end of discussion. I blinked and it was over with. That was just how quick it was. I love it when the shows go like that. Tonight's show went just like that too. I didn't know how it was going to come together looking at everything, but as I saw it coming together during the show, I was like, wow, this is going to be a quick 2 hours too. Last night was a really quick 2 hours. Kicked off with Mark Briscoe and Brian Keith, and Brian Keith has come probably about, give or take, I would say he has advanced probably about 11% over the last time I saw him wrestle. He's starting to look really, really good. Had a couple of good moves in there, and so did Mark Briscoe. It was a good, tough fight. Mark Briscoe beats him. One of the matches I really wanted to discuss was Wheeler Yuta versus anybody at this point. Now I'm gonna take you back, and of course I put this out on my page. You can probably find it if it's not buried under 200 posts. But we used to have this guy in WWE named Festus, which you guys know is Good Brothers now and all that other stuff. Carl Anderson. Yeah. No, Luke Gallows. I'm sorry, Luke Gallows. I get their names confused all the time. The guy you know is Luke Gallows. I knew as Festus. If you ever get a chance, if you've never seen Festus, you ought to Google it. It's hilarious. The gimmick was pretty simple. Festus walked into there. He was guided in there by his tag team partner. And he basically looked like the lights were on, nobody's home. He was drooling a little bit. Looked like an absolute buffoon. As soon as the bell rang, it was like the word of God came over him, and he just went absolutely nuts. Beat the hell out of anything that moved except the referee. And as soon as the bell rang again, as soon as the match was over with, he went back to a very stoic, stupid stance. That was Festus. So, this current gimmick that Wheeler Yuta is using, the current gimmick, the building, the character building gimmick that he's using, is a takeoff of this. And he comes in there all docile and so on, like, well, I just don't know if I want to be a champion. That's that. No, I just don't know. I don't know. And as soon as somebody insults him or slaps him the wrong way, I think last night was you don't have it, and he gave him a slap across the face. Dude did that whole Festus thing. He pops up, goes berserk, almost hits the ref. That's the only difference right there. Festus never went after a referee. Ever. But yeah, Wheeler Yuta goes absolutely batshit crazy, beats the hell out of Butcher, and then almost hits the referee. Picks up his belt after the end of the match, goes right back to stoic. You can't beat it. It's a gimmick that sells. People are invested in Wheeler Yuta, and quite frankly, I am too. Very invested with Wheeler Yuta. Suffice it to say, he beat the crap out of the Butcher, and like they gave it that he's going to cripple him type thing at the end of the match. I can't say enough good things about Butcher. Butcher is a solid developmental talent or enhancement talent, however you want to call it, whatever the flavor of the week is. We used to call them jobbers, and that's sort of a bad word because most of the enhancement talent are actually better than the wrestlers they wrestle because their job is to make said wrestler look good. So they not only have to get their way through the match, they have to make the other guy look good doing it. Butcher is like a whole new breed of enhancement talent, at least on the AEW side. And I really think, to be honest with you, I know it's going to sound silly, but I think he needs a little mid-card push after he's done jobbing out to all these other guys. But he made Wheeler Yuta look like $1 million. Wheeler Yuta got in there, did his absolute crazy, batshit crazy stuff, and he went on about his merry way. Not really merry. He went on about his depressed way, I should say. Looking at the title, and he just sashays on out the ring like nothing ever happened. Then right after that, we had a Karashita and a Harley Cameron. That was the match I was talking about from the beginning when I was discussing about whether or not AEW does a sufficient job of telling stories. Within that ring right there, you had Hikaru Shida going through a complex, so to speak. Because she hit Mercedes 3 times with that little finishing move that she's got, and it did nothing. Mercedes kicked out, kicked out, kicked out. So now she's wrestling Harley Cameron, who is definitely not a Mercedes Moné at all, for any reason whatsoever. Not that she won't be, it's just at this particular stage in her career, she is not. She may be. I don't know. At this stage, she may be. But she was learning. Meanwhile, Saraya outside has heat with Jamie Hayter. Of course, we've got the Saraya Rules match coming up at Grand Slam on Wednesday. You're not going to want to miss that because apparently Saraya rules are Saraya can do whatever the hell she wants and nobody else can, which is kind of like a setup match. So I'm kind of wondering if she's actually going to lose this thing and how deep Harley Cameron's going to wind up on her back getting knocked out before it's all said and done. Shout out to 21. Thank y'all. I just hit 20 as soon as I said 21. Shout out to whoever showed up and left. You're always welcome back, whoever you were. I don't care. But in the middle of all of that, so you've got the Saraya Jamie Hayter storyline going on. You got Hikaru Shida doubting herself, changing up her finishing move because of the match she had with Mercedes. And we're guessing they're going to run that match back probably in the next few months. So it's like Hikaru Shida's back on her way, developing herself for that next match with the TBS champion, and so on and so forth. So you got that storyline going. You got Jamie Hayter and Saraya. You got a little bit of a side storyline going on between Saraya and Hikaru Shida from way back when. And in the middle of all this, we're training Harley Cameron simultaneously, all in the middle of this match. Obviously, Hikaru Shida wins with a Falconera and not her usual high knee. And then we moved on and we had Roddy and the Beast Mortos going up against Joe Keys and Marcus Mathers, a friend of mine on Twitter. I was so happy to see Marcus Mathers on the big screen. This is something you get with AEW that you don't get with anybody else. Now, you can call them indie workers. You can call them whatever it takes to get you to sleep tonight. But Marcus Mathers can freaking go. And so can Joe Keith. So it was a really good matchup. I'm glad to see the Beast Mortos getting a whole lot more TV time because that man is fierce. I mean, that man is fierce. So to see him, Hologram, and Ricochet all in the same week, and to see Beast Mortos and Ricochet on Dynamite, then see him coming back for last night's stuff and working. He worked 3 matches this week. Hologram worked 2 or 3 himself. Now, Hologram worked 1 this week, worked a lot last week. But we get all of that on the free show. You know why I don't have a problem paying $50 for a pay-per-view? Because we get all this other shit for free. Pay the man at the end of the month for his work. I don't have a problem with that. But yeah, Roddy and the Beast, they pick up the win. Marcus looked real strong in this. Joe Keys looked reasonably strong. Marcus really looked like he'd been there before. Shout out to Marcus Mathers. I mean, seriously, good match, damn good work there. Then we had the 4-way between Nick Wayne, Rocky Romero, Kip Sabian, and Leo Rush. Once again, Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian have lots of history. There's a storyline there. Leo Rush has history with everything in the building, from management down to the 3 wrestlers he was already in the ring with. So that was a done deal. It's a story, guys. The long and the short of that is Nick Wayne won after kicking Kip Sabian out of the ring, taking a moment. Kip Sabian. I don't know. I've got football in the brain tonight, guys. At the end of the night, Nick Wayne pushes him out of the ring, spits on him, picks up the pin, and Kip Sabian is going home empty, not hitting the pay window again. The other 2 were just fillers. In this case right here, Leo Rush was a role player. He did a little bit, but not a lot. Same thing with Rocky Romero. He was a role player. You get those 2 in the ring right there. They're definitely not enhancement talent at all, and they make the match just that much better. Nick Wayne picks up the win in furtherance of his storyline with Kip Sabian and of course, with the Patriarchy. It's a pretty good win. Match went a little bit on the heavy side, but I understand what they're trying to accomplish there. They accomplished everything they needed to, and you can tell at this stage of the game that Tony knows Rampage is going away, so he's back to random books. and I'm fine with that. They have stories, but that was just those were just random matches. I can't argue with people because those were actual random matches. That I have to give to you. No question about it. No argument. No debate. Overall, Rampage has served its purpose. I'm going to say that one more time because Rampage is going away. But overall, Rampage as a show has served its purpose. And you say, Matt, what are you talking about? They have introduced talent from Ring of Honor. They have given a platform for underutilized wrestlers. There are some underutilized ones. I understand why, but I also understand that it's a legit argument. There are underutilized wrestlers. Rampage is that 4 to 5 match slot where you can give people television time who aren't currently involved in storylines. It has served its purpose. It will be a missed show. Now, we have no earthly idea what we're getting into with Shockwave. I said that at the beginning of the show. I said that at the last show. I'm going to continue saying it until Tony Khan gets up on the stage and says, here's what I'm doing with Shockwave. Once it comes out of his mouth, then I'll be able to talk a little bit more intelligently about it like I can about the other deals. But until then, I'm not even speculating. Not even a little bit. I hope that Shockwave does Rampage justice. I hope that Fox will continue to work with Tony Khan in a way and manner in which he has worked with Tony Khan, in a way and manner in which they have worked with him so far. And I think it's pretty safe to say it's a done deal if they're out there doing biographies and a day in the life ofs and things like that. When you start seeing the AEW stars popping up here and there on various Fox programming, I think it's a safe bet to say that they have the deal. They're just ironing out the numbers. But realistically, the majority of the hate coming out of this entire thing is the fact that Tony is going to be this close to $1 billion deal, if not over $1 billion. Now, whether anybody thinks he deserves it or not is irrelevant. You're not paying the bill. You're not booking the show. And if you don't like the show, go watch something else. There is a ton of shit on television. And there's even the old TNA channel, so you can go back and watch old TNA matches. You know? That's just reality, guys. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Don't put yourself through all that stress to hate on something you have no business hating. But I'm done with that whole line of question, that whole line right there, because Collision tonight was better than anticipated. I looked at these matches and I'm starting to agree with Jack Cassidy and Drain Banger and all of them, Drain Bamager or whatever that is, and the real one, so on and so forth. I'm starting to agree with them that maybe AEW should stop broadcast or preempting by giving you the match cards. They're cute. It helps me get set up for work, except tonight. I'm sorry I screwed up the opening. The closing's going to be screwed up too, by the way, because it's got a pretty much the same video. My bad. Fix it for next week. But I mean, it helps me. It helps me get these, what you see right over here. It helps me get all of that. I'm going to learn how to point correctly here in a minute. All this right here, that comes straight from the match. So it helps me out a little bit. Shout out to 25. Good God. Excited to have you in here. Even if you don't like me, hang around for a minute. We got coffee. I appreciate what they're doing, but I think I really think I think they shoot themselves in the foot. This is my intro for Collision, by the way. You guys got here just in time. I think they shoot themselves in the foot by releasing the matches because it gives people the opportunity to look at the matches and decide for themselves whether it's going to be good and whether they want to watch. And I'm starting to agree with that because this show overperformed. When I looked at the matches, I mean, I'm always hyped for AEW because it's not really that scripted. It's not that mechanical, and it reminds me of stuff I grew up with. So I'm always excited to watch the matches, even if in the back of my head I'm sitting there going, you know what, this one might stink. But it's okay. But I do agree with, I did notice a lot on the twits tonight of people saying that, Tony should get out of the business of advertising all the matches up front and let it be a little bit of a surprise. And I think that'll help with attendance. I think that's going to help with viewership because peer pressure is a very real thing. And if enough people around you are going, wow, this card looks like shit, I ain't watching it, it generally will talk you into not watching something you probably would have watched for the exact same reason I watch it. I look at the card and I go, I don't know, this kind of janky today. But I sit down and watch it anyway, and 9 times out of 10, Tony Khan puts a little bit of special sauce on the thing, and it comes out better than what I anticipated it to be going in. And tonight was absolutely no exception. We kicked off the night, Ring Honor Tag Team Championship title, Bunkhouse Brawl, Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara versus Matt Taven, Mike Bennett. And I want to pause here for just a minute. I know Mike Bennett does not watch this show. I know Mike Bennett does not watch the replays. But Mike, if you ever do, I owe you an apology. Because, bro, you've stepped up. You have presented yourself completely different than back in the Facebook days. And you may still think the way you think, and that is perfectly fine for you to think the way you think. I don't care. That's your life. You've got to live it. I can't live it for you. I can't be married to your wife. I can't take care of your kids. That's on you. But I will say this, kicking the night off here, I saw the Twitter post about the pills and all of that stuff, and you fessing up to that and saying, hey, I'm sorry I didn't give you the best version of me because this is what was going on. You know what? That's a man right there. So if anybody actually has the ear of Mike Bennett, you tell him I said that because I do believe that when I blocked him on Facebook, I was not very kind. And it was probably during that time that he was discussing in his post here on Twitter. It gave me a new perspective, and one adult to another, one man to another, hey man, that's a good damn job. And I'm sorry. I was wrong about you. I will say that publicly. I didn't know you struggle, man. And that's dumb because I should have been able to see it because we're not that much different at your age. And I'm going to leave it at that. But anyway, Ring of Honor Tag Team title Bunkhouse Brawl. Matt Taven, Mike Bennett brought it out the gate. Shout out to 26 viewers. Oh my goodness. This is back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. A lot of blood, a lot of guts, a lot of swearing, a lot of risky business. A lot of, I know damn good and well we're going to hear about the violence in the morning. I know damn good and well that's how it's going to come down. The Twitter posts are already writing themselves right now that Collision was too violent. It started off violent, blah, blah, blah. It was 8 o'clock. Don't you know, what about the children and blah, 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 blah. Already know that's going to happen. Don't care. Hell of a match. All 4 guys left it in the ring. And unfortunately, there could only be one winner. This is one of those very few matches The action was so good. It was all over the building, which is how I like my specialty gimmick matches. I like them to utilize the fan location around the ring. WWE has one itis. They can't get off of that announce table. And once they get out there, you know that table's going to get broke. As soon as they hit a certain spot, you're like, yep, table's gone. It's gone. It's not gone yet, but it's getting ready to be gone. These kind of matches where they fight all over the ring, up the ramp, down the ramp, around the ring, in the crowd, out of the crowd, everything else like that. These are the matches that I show up to see. And like I said, now that I had time to ingest that whole Mike Bennett post, dude, I'm impressed. I got nothing but praise for you. You just hit the Jack Perry lottery. By the way, guys, I apologize, Jack Perry, last week. Minute then, still mean it. I have absolutely missed the ball with Jack Perry. I missed the ball with Mike Bennett. Good, hellaciously good workers. Good match, great match. Probably going to be a 4.25 to 4.75 star match. If somebody wants to bother to rate them, I believe that's where it's going to land. Unfortunately, in this match, there had to be only one winner, and it turns out it was Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. But if Mike Bennett and Matt Taven had won, I would have still said hell of a match all the way across the board. This is a match that you come to see if you like that old style NWA wrestling, that old style AWA wrestling, that old style world class championship wrestling. All three of those came together to make this match. Understand that Dustin Rhodes had Dusty Rhodes' belt there with the belt buckle from 1974. Gotta love it. Everything was perfect. The history was right. The match was good. Now, tomorrow morning, we can read the twits about how it was violent and all that. And I'm sorry about your mangina, but I don't really care about it. It was a hell of a match. Great effort. Dustin Rhodes, 50-some years old, getting out there, bleeding his ass off, fighting his ass off, all day, all night, every night. Shout out to Dustin Rhodes. Shout out to Sammy Guevara for calling out TNT champion Jack Perry. I think that match is going to hit in a way that we have not seen. I think Sammy Guevara and Jack Perry are going to put on a classic. I believe it's probably going to be in the 4.5 to 5.5 star range, especially if Jack Perry brings that same shit that he brought against Bryan Danielson, where he somehow defied actual physics. We're in for a barn burner of a match out of that. Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara pick up the win. Then we move on. We had Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Hologram versus the Premier Athletes. I'm just going to make this one a long story short. Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Hologram won. Hologram continues to be Hologram. Hologram continues to amaze. Every week he comes up with some new move in his repertoire. Just when you thought, okay, we've seen it all, he comes up with something else and gets that holy shit chant going all over again. The "this is awesome" thing. Hologram is the real deal. Hologram is going to be the real deal for the next 5 to 7 years. And right now, I'm already salivating for a hologram Ricochet, a hologram Will Ospreay. We got the hologram Beast Mortos last week, and they tore the house down because that's what hologram does. And he's the only luchador that I've seen so far until Roosh came out that has a gimmick. And it's a child-friendly gimmick. Looks like we've got ourselves a child-friendly hero out there. Have you gotten your kid his hologram doll yet? Pretty coming out. Action figure, sorry, don't want to call them dolls. Action figure. That's going to be a must-get right there. I believe as soon as they produce that one right there, they're going to be sold out before they even get them produced. Their first run's going to be sold out in 20 minutes. It's that good, guys. Hologram and then pick up the win. I mean, that was a given. The premier athletes are glorified enhancement talent. They do win matches occasionally against other enhancement talent. When they've got their losses, when their losses start stacking up, Tony gives them an enhancement talent for a couple of weeks. They go in, bust heads, and then come back and go back to being enhancement talent for some of the bigger acts. There's nothing to be ashamed of with that either. Not even a little bit. And then following that right there, Lady Frost, finally back on television. We have missed you. Lady Frost going up against Mariah May in furtherance of yet another storyline because Mariah May wanted to make an example out of somebody. I'm not even going to try this name until we get past Grand Slam. I'm going to practice it all week. Yuka's as close as you're going to get out of me. That match is going to bang. I have seen her wrestle outside of AEW, saw her wrestle in AEW during the week. This match is going to go hard in a way you will not expect it, and you will not see it coming. Because I know a lot of people that watch me don't watch New Japan or any of that stuff. Some do, some don't. Those that hang around probably watch a lot of New Japan. You know, a little bit of Defy here and there. A little bit of GCW back here in the States. A little bit of, you know, TNA. TNA before they got in bed with WWE. You know, some of y'all watch that stuff. So you know that I'm telling you the truth. This match is going to bang. And it's going to bang in a David versus Goliath. And it is going to be the ultimate David versus Goliath. Because you ain't going to really know who you need to cheer for until the match is over with. And you will have missed it. That match is going to bang pretty hard. Mariah May picks up the win. But not without blowing a kiss. And watching Nigel McGuinness fold on television has got to be the funniest thing I've seen all week. I've seen some funny shit too. But I'm here to tell you, watching Nigel McGuinness fold on national television has got to be the most hilarious thing ever. But Mariah May picks up the win over that with the Storm Zero. If Mariah May is not in the running for Female Wrestler of the Year along with Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné, the system is rigged. Mariah May does things inside the ring. It's the little details, guys. It's been beaten out of a lot of the WWE fans to look at the little details. The blowing the kiss. The not really taking Lady Frost seriously, Queen Aminata seriously. She's not taking any of this seriously. And that in and of itself is the gimmick. And it is one of the best, freshest gimmicks. Because nobody else is doing it. Roman Reigns has not gotten the title back yet, but he was doing that. He was doing it, you know what, you're this, that, and the other, but I'm the tribal chief. Mariah May is doing a version of that just better. She's basically saying, I don't care who comes in this ring. I'm not that concerned with you, and I'm walking out with the title. I don't care who you are. And that gimmick right there has got fans and haters on life support. Because all I read is, oh, she can't wrestle. She can wrestle just fine, guys. I've seen her wrestle a grown-ass man. She's good. She just don't give a shit. At least her character doesn't. So she takes all this stuff nonchalant and blase blah. In the ring, outside of the ring, up the ramp, down the ramp. She's standing there, for God's sakes, blowing kisses at Nigel. That's how unconcerned she was with this match. And that is a super heel gimmick right there. Shout out to 29. Good Lord. We might actually break 30 tonight. That would be great. Hey, if we can break 30, like, comment, share. Don't care how we got to do it. Let's get over 30 tonight. I'm not being greedy, but I would like to at least get over 30. I was thinking 25, but now we're sitting on the threshold of 30. I'd be good with 30, and I'll shut up about numbers because I personally don't care. I'll sit here and talk to myself. Because eventually, those of you that tune in regularly, and I know there's about 15 to 17 of you because that's a consistent number. You're in the middle of something that we are building. When I say we, I mean myself and other people. Other podcasters who are like, we need more voice, we need more amplification. I'm like, send me. Because I enjoy doing this stuff. It's funny as hell. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy interacting. Hey, Rebecca, if you're back, say hey, do whatever. But, I mean, I enjoy this thing. This is something I look forward to every week. But in the process of that, you know, sometimes it gets a little rough, and I'm fine with that too. But I'm going to move on. I don't want to get stuck in talking about the same stuff that I just talked about before. We got people coming in. I'm just telling you I'm happy. If we can get over 30, I will be immensely happy today. No question. But Mariah May worked that ring, worked that crowd, worked every single square inch of the storyline. And Wednesday or Saturday, I don't know what part of the card she's on yet. Wednesday or Saturday, that match is going to bang. And it's going to bang hard. It's going to give you more than you thought you had. But once again, here's a match that over-delivered. Because on paper, Mariah May and Lady Frost is not necessarily a nothing burger, because Lady Frost is fucking good. She really is. She's very seasoned, very good vet. So it's not a nothing burger. I can't wait until they give her a push. Anybody needs a push. Lady Frost needs a push. But, you know, when they start giving her a push, that shit's going to be just as epic as when they give Harley Cameron a push. But anyway, Mariah May picks up the win. Storm Zero, pretty much business as usual. Packed her up. Went back up the ring, had a conversation. And that was it. She was in the back. And then we moved on. Meanwhile, backstage, I wanted to cover that segment because that sets this match up. Darby Allin walks up on Evil Uno, tells him he wants the Evil Uno that he knows is inside. And he slaps him around a little bit, talks a little shit to him. So we get out to the ring here with Darby Allin and Evil Uno. Once again, the match over-delivered. Because my expectations for that match were slim and none. I've seen Evil Uno wrestle a couple of times. At that point in time, I wasn't terribly impressed with his match. Everybody's like, well, go watch this, this, and that. So I've been doing that. Been bringing myself up to speed with the Dark Order. I know the other show there refers to him as the Dark Order, and I disagree. I disagree a little bit with that, but I understand where they're coming from. But I never was that impressed with Evil Uno until I went back and watched some of his old matches. So yes, I'm with Darby Allin on that. I know he's got it in him. The question is, do we see it tonight? And whatever Darby said, clearly got under the skin of Evil Uno. He went out there, showed out, and that was a completely different wrestler right there. So shout out to Evil Uno for that. Darby Allin picks up the win, of course. But it was a good outing. I'm looking forward to Darby Allin and Jon Moxley next week. I think that's going to be a banger match. A lot of banger matches coming out for this thing. Dead serious. Dead serious. A lot of banger matches coming out for this. You're not going to want to miss Wednesday and Saturday. Now, I don't know what they've got for Rampage. I do know it's taped, and I know it's pre-taped. as of last week. So I don't know what's kicking with that match, but we'll figure it out when we get there. But Grand Slam is already it's already slamming. Wow, 31. Thank you. This is great. But Darby Allin picks up the win, and we move on. We had Queen Aminata and Serena Deeb. This was once again a banger match. Over-delivered, under-hyped, over-delivered. Serena Deeb, at her age, is still one of the best wrestlers, best female wrestlers I've ever seen. The best all-around complete package wrestler. Now, she does work scripted a little bit. Now, I kind of feel like I'm at a point in time with her, not necessarily where if you've seen one, you've seen them all, but we're getting close. But Serena Deeb can still go, and Queen Aminata got a right hand that could pop a wall. This is a hell of a match. I think probably after watching Queen Aminata work 3 times this week, I got to put her in at least the mid-card position. I got to put her around Mercedes somewhere. I think that match is going to bang pretty hard when it finally happens. We're not sure when it's going to happen, but when that match finally happens, I got a feeling that one's going to scream and holler too. But yeah, Queen Aminata, Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb obviously picks up the win because it boosts her storyline just a little bit. I think they're probably going to run it back again next week on Rampage. They probably have another match coming in that I don't know about yet. I would not be surprised if that were the case. I don't expect to see them on Dynamite, and I don't expect to see them on Collision again, but I do expect to see them match up and lock up again, whether it's in Ring of Honor behind the paywall or on regular television, free TV. I expect them to get back together probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks because we've got to run that one back. It was a good, solid, hard-hitting match. Serena Deeb out of her comfort zone in the deep water, still managing to pull out the win. Yeah, she was in the deep end of the pool pretty damn quick tonight. I mean, she started off in the deep end of the pool, figured out how to tread water, swim just beautifully. Got out of it with everything intact. It was pretty good. Not a bad match. Serena Deeb did pick up the win. That gets us to our All-Star 10-man tag team match, and I had to write everything down here. We had FTR, the Outrunners, and Hook versus Roddy Strong, the Beast Mortos, Roosh, and the Grizzled Young Veterans. Cheat code. You know why it was a cheat code? Because it had Roosh and the Beast Mortos on the same team. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, non-binary and whatever else, I don't want to offend anybody by misgendering them or whatever that thing is. I don't want to offend you. But the Beast Mortos and Roosh on the exact same team. Tony Khan. If you want to revitalize the tag team division, I don't know if anybody knows this or not, and I really didn't think this needed to be said, but if you take a couple of singles competitors and put them in a tag team and it turns out that they've got hellacious chemistry, they can still be singles wrestlers. If you bring some people in as tag team specialists, completely different story. Completely different. But if You want eyes on the tag team division, you can keep the Young Bucks together. I'm okay with them. Lately, they've been hitting that gear that I knew they had. They've been showing off. They've been showing out. Now, they put a couple of stinkers out there, and that's going to happen. Especially if you wrestle 3 bangers in a row and you got a freaking pay-per-view. Give me a break. So they're going to put some stinkers out there. But they didn't phone this one in at all. I don't think they did. Now, I could be corrected as soon as tomorrow, and I'll be fine with that. I don't think they phoned it in. Roosh! And the Beast Mortos definitely did not phone it in. And considering last week, considering Dynamite, now considering Collision, with the way those two move together, there is absolutely zero reason not to keep them together as a tag team. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't screw up these singles pushes. Because believe it or not, a lot of people can walk and chew gum at the same time. I know that's a lost art these days in wrestling, but I really genuinely believe you can keep their integrity as singles wrestlers and put the Beast Mortos and Roosh together. Make that a tag team. Obviously, Will Ospreay, and why is it that I have a mental block about this guy's name? This is going to annoy me here. Give me just a second here. I hate it when this happens. I can't help it. Kyle Fletcher. Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher have amazing chemistry together. They're also amazing singles wrestlers. That doesn't mean that Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher can't go out and have singles runs while they're working together as a tag team. And it doesn't mean that the Beast Mortos and Roosh can't go out and have great singles runs, while performing the function of a tag team as well. If you want to rebuild your tag team division, there's a couple of call-ups from Ring of Honor you need, and I'm not going to call that out right yet because I don't want to speak out of school, but a lot of people know who I'm talking about. You could single-handedly rebuild this tag team division in a week, and you could have, like, serious feuds going on right now. Up to you, Tony, but I'd put the Beast and Roosh together. I'd keep Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher together. I'd have the Young Bucks. And I'm trying to remember the name of that group. The somethings. They're a little bit off. And then you could have the Outrunners out there in the back. You could give them a win or so on and so forth. But you could use them a little bit as enhancement talent as well. You can 50-50 book them. And inside of 3-4 months, you could have a banging tag team division. Especially with access to New Japan, CMLL. You could bring in some side tag teams, Forbidden Door that thing. You could have some outside groups come in, do some work. And you wouldn't have to run too much of your roster in the tag team division to have a tag team division. Leo Rush and that crew, Private Party, the Patriarchy, even though they're doing 6-man tags, doesn't mean that Christian Cage and Nick Wayne couldn't pull out one, or Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. Doesn't mean they can't be a tag team as well. You've got a tag team division right in front of you, Tony. Go ahead and utilize it. Utilize that space. Utilize those fillers. But anyway, make a long story short on this one. Roddy, the Grizzled Veterans, the Beast, and Roosh pick up the win. And that closing sequence with Dax Hardwood. that closing sequence where you ate all those punches in the pin was absolutely the chef's kiss on the night. Now, see, guys, you can lose and win. Dax Hardwood lost. He ate the pin, but he won because he was still marginally here after all that beating. I mean, that was beating right there. They beat him like a rented mule. I'm not even kidding you. He took all that shit, but what we got to see was the Beast and Roosh working very well together. Good chemistry, good motion right there. The kind of stuff you like to see in tag team wrestling, they already got it. And they picked up the win, you know? It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. They picked up the win. We're happy. So, and that one right there, the collision tonight, collision for us colliders, so to speak, overproduced, overachieved for the look of the card. It overproduced, overachieved. There were some really good funny spots tonight. There were some serious spots. It had a little bit of everything to go all into it. So, man, for ratings, I'm going to go outside the box here. I'm going to give Rampage a 3. Everybody else has been saying 2, 2.1. And I get it. I understand where Tony's at with this thing. The show is going away. He's putting the effort in for the people that are in the building for Dynamite. In case y'all don't know, Rampage is normally taped after Dynamite. So he's giving the fans their money's worth, but at the same time, you can tell that the wrestlers are not phoning it in, and I don't think Tony's phoning it in either. I think Tony is just at that crossroads where he's like, guys, this show's going away. Let's keep the fans happy and let's just not worry about anything else. I think that's where he's at. I'm giving it a 3. Harley Cameron once again stepped up, and showed out. So that was my moment of the night for yesterday. Tonight, $7.5. There were some hiccups in the show. Not going to say there wasn't. And I'm going to say my moment of the night was Dustin Rhodes standing there for that interview, still covered in blood, clothes covered in blood. The mantra and the hallmark of the show are we're the best wrestle. And not only do they wrestle, they're available for an interview. They don't look bothered. They don't look disturbed. They don't shoot. They don't work. They step up and they pull the interview off the way they need to pull it off. Further the storyline. They don't babble like a couple of teenagers who saw their first and very professional all the way across the board. So, yeah, 7.5, Dustin Rhodes, once again, showing up, showing off, and everything else. And we are still sitting at 31 viewers. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, anything else, because I don't want to offend anybody. I'm serious. I mean that. I really do. From the bottom of my heart, as I'm getting ready to close the show out tonight, I want y'all to know that I appreciate each and every one of you. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm going to be here Saturday nights after Collision for the foreseeable future because I am the only person who will cover it live. Now, I'm sure there's another couple of streams out there, but I mean, as far as the big podcasters and so on and so forth, I'm the only one who will spend the time, go through the matches, and plus got a whole lot more information to go. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. 31 is fantastic. I'm humbled. Thank you. Let's see if we can get that number up next week. Because I'm telling you right now, y'all some of the best people in the world. I appreciate all of you. Even the one that's sitting there hate watching me right now, I really do appreciate him too. He just don't realize it, and I don't care. That's just pretty much how it goes. I really don't give a shit. You can hate me for free because you're not taking 1 minute of time out of my day. Not one bit of my energy. There's too much other things to focus on, and you ain't it. I just tell you that straight up. Don't care how it tastes going down or anything. But for those of y'all who come in here because you actually want to hang out, chill, and vibe, I'm good with that. Keep it up. Invite a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And I will be even more entertaining when I see these chats light up. When I see all that stuff going. When I see emojis. I'm going to perform at a completely different level. And that's what I wanted to get off my chest tonight. I want you to take time and call that person you didn't call today, because day after tomorrow they might not be here. One of my business partners lost a friend. My son's lost a couple of friends here in the last little bit. We are not promised tomorrow. So if I had anything in the world that I could say to you right now that I thought might make a difference, that person you forgot to call today, don't forget it tomorrow. Because the day after, they might not just be there, and you will regret that for the rest of your life. And I'm not trying to be morose. It's Saturday night, guys. It's 11:30 on my end. We pushed about an hour and a half, and, I'm fine with that. I stay here all night and talk if people show up. I don't care. I got plenty to talk about. I'm just trying to stretch it out over the shows. But with that said, the closing is going to suck too because I got the wrong video in there. Pay it no mind. I'm not going to pay it any mind. I'm going to edit it out and put the correct videos in when I get ready to upload the final tonight. And, I just want y'all to know that I really appreciate each and every one of you. Everybody sitting there right now, taking time out of your busy night to listen to me, to listen to Graps TV, to listen to the Sicko Show. You are appreciated. You are very appreciated. And I just want to say goodnight and God bless, or whatever entity that you believe in. May that bless you as well. And I want to say goodnight, America, wherever you are. This has been Graps TV and the Sicko Show, and I'm your host, the Matty Man. I want y'all to have a good evening. I want y'all to have fun tomorrow. Tomorrow is NFL. And looks like we got a couple of good games on the tally. Shout out to my Texas A&M Aggies. Whoop! Anyway, y'all have a good night. God bless. And good night, America, wherever you are. Thanks.